everyone, my name is Anaida Serrato and I am a freshman mechanical engineering student running for your treasurer position. I first learned about SHPE at a science event, and there I was able to meet my current role models. And since then, when I attended SHPE's first general meeting, I was able to learn the mission and the vision of SHPE, and I knew I made the right choice. Since then, I have been able to grow academically, professionally, and as an individual. Being a part of Mini E-Board and being under a budget has really conditioned my mind to think strategically when it comes to fundraising/organizing ideas. For example, like paying the president or encouraging a profitable charity event like the Burger Joint. With this opportunity, I began learning how to implement these responsibilities that I'll have as treasurer. And as treasurer, one of my main responsibilities is to make sure that I'm collecting payments from both members and companies. With this sensitive conversation, I understand that I have to make sure that they feel comfortable. And so, drawing back from my experience as director of scholarship in my sorority, I've learned how to handle similar obligations, such as discussing fines or talking about money in general. So I've learned that creating a friendly environment really implements timely payments as well as, implements timely payments and fosters trust. SHPE is all about familia and ensuring that our members are aiming to be successful academically and professionally. For treasurer, I want to work with my e-board to make sure that I work with e-board to align our budget with our core pillars. I continue to see SHPE as a beacon of opportunity. And beyond these numbers, I want to make sure, and I'm committed to make sure that SHPE will continue to give us all the opportunities needed. So sorry.
Great speech, Anaida. So my question to you as candidate for treasurer is, SHPE's 50th anniversary convention is happening this fall in Anaheim, California. This is a more expensive location to host a convention compared to conventions in the past years. How do you plan to raise funds to maximize sponsorship for our members?
Very great question. As treasurer, it is my responsibility to make sure that I plan accordingly to the full term. And so I'll take a step back and see what social events have been successful, such as if the social event is under one of our pillars, such as professional or leadership, then I'll make sure that that social event is circulated around that pillar, and to quantify this social event. Yes, to make sure that it's quantified, and this way our organization will flourish. Not only will it attract more members, but we will also be attracting more budget.
So, as a treasurer, you do communicate with the alumni, right, for donations. How would you make the alumni feel more connected to the chapter in order to be able to receive potential scholarships or donations?
Could you repeat the question again, please?
Yeah, of course. So, as a treasurer, you do interact a lot with our alumni. How would you communicate with our alumni in order to make them feel connected to the chapter so that they can provide scholarships and donations for our members?
Right. So I would want to make sure and host social events that alumni are welcomed. Right. So let's say if a social event is for date auction, that event is very successful. And so I'd want to make sure that I'll implement similar events like these to encourage them to feel more comfortable to come out and just being able to support and also see our new members and our chapter growing. And so I'd want to implement this as well.
Fundraising and having the budget for this year, but it's also important to keep in mind the future of the chapter. So how will you make sure that the budget stays at the same level that you received it, if not more?
Right. So, as treasurer, it is my responsibility to make sure that I plan for the full term. And so realistically, let's say an event was $400, I'd want to make sure that I save around $500 in case something happened, then we'd be prepared, because life happens, right? And so I'd want to make sure to do this and also just focus on the events and see which ones are prospering, right? So let's say a social event that falls under professionalism or leadership is growing. I'd want to implement similar ideas like this to make sure that our chapter continues to flourish and grow, as well as attract members. Because if we attract a lot of members and if our organization continues to grow and flourish, then we'd be able to have a really good environment and continue growing as people.
So you had mentioned going through and kind of looking at events in the past that have been successful and not as successful. How do you plan on letting a chair or even an e-board member know that they're not going to receive the anticipated funding for their certain event?
Yes, that's a very great question. How will I make sure that that a chair won't be getting the anticipated funds?
Yeah, so you gave the example of a $400 event, but let's say that you're maybe only able to give them $200. How do you relay that information to them?
So I'll make sure to plan accordingly and ahead, right? So I want to continue to raise money and implement new social events. So that way we could bring in money and hopefully we can transfer that money for them. And so I'd look to see where events have been successful and what events have not been successful, and continue to find the right ideas and fundraising events. Or we could also have a profitable charity event like at MOTS. So for example, if we implement this social event at MOTS, social events usually have around 30 members, and a pizza it's like $15. And so MOTS gives us 20% of that profit, so we'd be doing about $90 of profit that we'll be gaining. So that can be extra money for them. And if this doesn't work out, I also want to continue finding an idea that circulates around the successful fundraising event to ensure that they'll be able to get the money somehow.